Hello! Welcome back sa ating Business and Transfer Tax class. Ako pa rin ang inyong guro, Romualdo Fernandez Rego. So tayo ay nasa huling bahagi na ng percentage tax. So kung kayo ay handa na, kumuha ng ballpen at papel para sa inyong importanteng notes. So let's start. So ito yung summary ng percentage taxes. Andyan yung subject ng percentage tax. That's letter A to K. And yung applicable tax rates as well as yung tax base. So, dapat may copy kayo nito. So, dapat alam nyo ito. Yung activity na subject ng percentage tax. Plus, of course, yung tax base. Although yung tax base halos pare-parehas naman na gross receipts, karamihan. May mga mangilan-ngilan lang na hindi gross receipts ang tax base. And then, yung tax rate. So, actually, madali lang ang computation ng percentage tax kasi multiply mo lang sa tax base. Wala nang masyadong complicated steps sa computation ng tax. So, multiply mo na lang yung rates. However, as you can see naman, iba-iba yung rates per activity. So, yan lang ang very challenging sa percentage tax. Yung pag-recall ng applicable percentage. Kasi nga sabi ko nga kanina, yung tax base hindi masyado kasi halos pare-parehas naman. Nakikita mo na gross receipts. Konti lang ang hindi gross receipts. So, tandaan mo na lang yung hindi gross receipts ang tax base. So, for example, yung letter A, na-discuss na natin ito at nabigyan ng example sa part 1, yung 3% percentage tax on gross sales or gross sales of goods at saka services. So, subject to 3% kapag hindi mo na-meet yung VAT na revenue cap. So, ang babayaran mo ay percentage tax. So, alam nyo na to. Fully illustrated na ito, sabi ko nga sa previous video. So, dito na tayo sa letter B. Ito na lang ang bago ngayon. Letter B, domestic common carriers tax on international carriers tax. Ang tax base niya, katulad ng sinabi ko, ay gross receipts. So, 3% din lang siya. So, para lang siyang sa sale of goods and services. However, sa letter C, daanan lang natin para ma-orient lang kayo kung ano yung mga subject to percentage tax. Franchise tax on gas and water facilities. So, sa gas and water facility, ang tax rate is 2%. Ang tax base is gross receipts. Yung pangalawang subject to franchise tax is yung radio and or broadcasting companies whose gross receipts in the preceding year did not exceed 10 million. So, naiiba itong radio and broadcasting companies kasi hindi sila cover ng 3 million na revenue cap. Instead, ang kanilang revenue cap ay 10 million. So, pag hindi pa sila nag-exceed sa 10 million, ibig sabihin, subject pa rin sila ng 3% na percentage tax. So, pag nag-exceed ng 3 million, that's the time na magiging cover pa lang sila ng value added tax. Letter D, overseas communication tax amount paid is 10%. So, overseas communication, dapat mag-originate dito yung communication. So, ibig sabihin, kapag hindi nag-originate dito sa Philippines, hindi na siya cover ng percentage tax. Letter E, tax on banks and non-bank financial intermediaries performing quasi-judicial function. So, maraming rates ito, 1 and 5. That's the first. And then may 7 at saka as to dividend, 0 sila. Hindi sila subject ng percentage tax yung dividend kasi normal operation nila yon. So hindi considered as ano, hindi cover nitong percentage tax. So balikan natin 1 and 5, gross receipts from lending and financing activity. So it's either 1 at saka 5. Later, i-illustrate natin kung kailan i-apply yung 1 and 5. And then yung 7 naman, gross receipts from other income items. Kung, ibig sabihin kung hindi galing sa lending at saka leasing activity, ibig sabihin hindi siya mako-cover ng 1 and 5 kasi nga cover siya ng 7%. Next is tax on other non-bank financial intermediaries. Ito naman financial intermediary siya pero hindi siya other non-bank siya. So halos parehas lang naman yung gross receipts from lending and financing kasi nga financial intermediaries din siya. So ibig sabihin ang operation din niya is into lending at saka financing. So meron din siya yung 1 and 5%. Halos parehas lang sila ng bank. However, doon sa gross receipts from other income, medyo mas mababa ng konti yung kanyang tax rate. So sa bank and non-bank ay 7%. Sa other non-bank financial intermediaries, it is only 5%. So yun lang pagkakaiba nila. Letter G, tax on insurance companies. On premiums collected, 2%. So kung magkano yung na-collect from doon sa client, 2%. H, tax on agent of foreign insurance companies. So sa mga agent ng foreign insurance, alam niyo naman na ibig sabihin ng foreign, ba? Hindi sila na organize dito yung mga insurance company kaya foreign sila. So kung may agent sila dito para makakuha ng client, so dun sa mga agent nila, ang tax rate is 4% of the premiums collected din. So medyo mas mataas sila kasi foreign insurance companies sila ang kanilang dinideal. Next, itong amusement taxes. So, yung place of amusement, ito yung kung saan pwede kang maglibang-libang. No? So, ito yung boxing exhibitions, professional basketball games, cockpits, cabarets, and nightclubs, high alay, and racetrack. Sa mga kabayo. Yung mga karera ng kabayo. Correct. So, ang tax base, pare-parehas naman, kaya mininsalan ko na lang, it is gross receipts. However, yung tax rates nila, iba-iba. So, sa boxing exhibition, it is 10% ang kanyang percentage tax. Sa professional basketball games, professional for example, yung PBL, it is a league. Kaya hindi siya professional, so hindi siya cover ng 15%. Yung PBA, it is a professional basketball organization, kaya cover siya ng 15%. Pits, cabarets, and nightclubs, ayan, so 18% yung mga club. High alay and racetrack, gross receipts, 30%. So usually, ang nakaka-afford lang daw niyan is yung mga mayayaman. So mas mataas yung kanyang tax rate, 30%. Yung mga kaya ng ganyan. High alay and horse racing, pang mayaman yan. Letter J, tax on winnings of the or dividends of person in horse races or high alay. Winnings 10%, pero kapag ang winning is from double, forecast, pinila, and trifecta bets, it is 4%. Sa owner ng winning horses, mayroon pa ring 10%. By the way, yung sa letter I, Yung sa 30%, yung place, yung racetrack ng pero sa mga nananalo na, yun na yung sa winning. Itong sa 10% na. And finally, yung letter K, stock transaction tax, secondary of offering na yun, subsequent offering na yun. So, hindi doon sa initial, hindi sa IPO, initial public offering. So, ang tax base niya is selling price. So, ang nakalagay dyan sa book natin ay 6/10 of 1%. Pero dati yan ay 1/2 of 1%. Yung old rate niya. So, tignan na lang natin sa illustration kung correct yung rate na yan. So, basta sa book natin, it is 6/10 of 1%. Pero yung old rate niyan, 1/2 of 1%. Okay, so before we illustrate yung franchise tax of 2 and 3%, let us define muna yung franchise. It is a law daw. So ano ba ang purpose ng franchise law? It authorizes a certain person, natural or juridical, to operate a public utility. So therefore, kung walang franchise law, a person, kay natural man yan o juridical being, hindi siya pwedeng makapag-open at makapag-operate ng public utility company. Yung public utility company, ito yung mga company na nag-o-offer ng kanilang services sa public, sa mga tao. Like for example, Panelco, yung mga water utilities, mga TV, ganon. So, required na magkaroon muna sila ng franchise bago sila makapag-operate. Thus, a corporation that will operate a railway system or generate and sell electricity will need a franchise. So, bago sila makapag-operate at i-offer yung kanilang services and products sa public, kailangan nilang magkaroon ng franchise. Kailangan nilang mag-apply for a franchise. The following are subject to percentage tax, commonly called franchise tax. So, ito nga, yung gas company, mga gas company, water utilities, yun nga, sabi nga natin doon sa summary kanina ng percentage tax, it is 2 and 3%. So, gas and water utility, 2%. Radio or television broadcasting companies na hindi nag-exceed ng 10 million yung kanilang gross receipts will be taxed at 3% franchise tax. Other franchise grantees are subject to value-added tax on sale of services. So, kung hindi siya water, gas, and TV, ibig sabihin, they are subject to value-added tax na. Okay? So, only gas and water utilities at saka radio and television company ang cover nitong franchise tax na 2 and 3% na dinidiscuss natin today. So, ulitin natin, kung mayroon pa mang ibang franchise na in-enter ang business at saka government and valid naman yung franchise nila, so, ang mag-a-apply sa kanila, since hindi na sila kabilang dito sa in-enumerate dito sa section na to, ay value added tax na. Kasi nga, syempre, kung hindi sila na-enumerate dito, ibig sabihin, hindi sila cover ng percentage tax. So, anong mag-a-apply sa kanila? It's value-added tax. The franchise tax of 2 or 3% is based on gross receipts. Ayan, so gross receipts daw. Ang tax base niya from activities covered by the franchise. So, yung activity lang na sinabi ng under doon sa franchise, yun lang ang isa subject to 2 or 3% franchise tax. Other gross receipts may be subject to value-added tax. As katulad ng minention nga natin kanina sa taas, sa statement sa taas. Kapag hindi sa subject ng 2 or 3% pero meron siyang franchise, ibig sabihin, it is VAT ang apply sa kanya. Special rule on radio and television broadcasting. So, ito ay applicable lang sa radio broadcasting. Nabanggit ko na rin kanina. If the gross receipts in the preceding year exceed 10 million, so kung sumobra ng 10 million, ang mag-apply na sa kanila ay VAT. Pero, if the gross receipts in the preceding year did not exceed 10 million, ang mag-apply sa kanya ay percentage tax. However, pwede siyang optional VAT registration pa rin. So, may possible pa rin na maging VAT taxpayer siya kahit na hindi nag-exceed yung kanyang gross receipts ng 10 million. Bakit? Kasi pwede siyang mag-optional registration. So, let's apply yung concept na diniscuss lang natin kanina. Each company is a holder of a franchise to sell and distribute water. In a month, it had a gross receipts from the sale of water of 5 million. And rent income from heavy equipment received from subdivision owners of 50,000. So, in addition dyan sa 5 million, magkano yung franchise tax? Okay, so since water utility siya, so ang rate niya ay 2%. Correct. So, 2% times yung gross receipts from doon sa franchise nga niya, which is to sell water. So, ibig sabihin, 2% of 2 million lang. 2% of 2 million lang, correct? Hindi kasama yung 50 na from rental of heavy equipment. Kasi, yung 5 million lang ang galing sa franchise na. Illustration number 2. iCompany is a holder of a franchise to operate a radio television network. Its gross receipts in 2018 was 9 million. In the first month of 2019, it had a gross receipts of 700,000 and a total payment to VAT suppliers of goods and services of 250,000, taxes not included. The percentage tax for the month would have been, so as we mentioned earlier sa ating discussion, that ang radio and television network revenue cap is not yung 3 million na regular. Meron silang special na 10 million. So, para maging subject sila sa VAT, dapat na-exceed nila yung 10 million na gross receipts. So, since hindi naman na-exceed ni iCompany yung 10 million na revenue cap for television and radio network, subject, tama yung question, subject sila ng percentage tax. So, magkano ang percentage tax? Of course, 700,000 times 3%. That's 21,000. Illustration number 3. In the preceding illustration of iCompany, if iCompany opted to be a value-added taxpayer in 2019, the value-added tax payable for the first month is, so kahit na hindi niya na-exceed yung revenue cap na 10 million, nag-optional VAT registration siya. Kasi sayang naman yung binayaran niya sa mga VAT suppliers. So, para mai-deduct niya. So, syempre, Since wala tayong magagawa, since nag-register siya na VAT taxpayer, di magbabayad siya ng VAT. Kasi qualified naman siya na mag-optional VAT registration. So, kukunin natin yung output tax. So, 700,000 times 12%. That's 84,000. So, ang output tax ay 84,000. Palitin natin. Output tax, 84,000, 700,000 times 12%. Then, ibabawas lang natin yung input tax niya na 250,000 times 12%. That's 30,000. So, 84,000 minus 30,000. Ang VAT payable niya is 54,000. So let's move to amusement taxes. There are many kinds of amusement places, but hindi naman lahat ng amusement places na yon ay subject to amusement tax na i-discuss natin, na in-enumerate dun sa list na diniscuss natin kanina under sa amusement tax. So yun lang, apat na yun ang subject to amusement tax. However, yung ibang amusement places such as theaters, concert halls, circus, and other amusement places ay subject naman ng local tax. So pag local tax, iba-iba ang rules, iba-iba ang rates ng mga local government. So hindi na po natin i-discuss yun. So, the tax base is, ganun pa rin, gross receipts. So, ano ba ang gross receipts? Embraces all the receipts of the proprietor, lessee, operator of the amusement places. It includes income from television, radio, and motion picture rights if there is any. Ito nga yung apat na sinasabi nating cover ng amusement tax, which is yung place of boxing exhibition. It is 10%. Place for professional basketball games, 15%. Yung cockpits, cabaret, night or day club, yung mga clubs, it is 18%. At yung high-alay and racetrack, yung place, yung owner ng place, it will be taxed at 30%. So as mentioned kanina, yung place for boxing exhibition is subject to 10% amusement tax. However, if the boxing exhibitions were world or oriental championship in any division is at stake, will be considered exempt if yung if mamimit niya yung condition, no? If one of the contender is a citizen of the Philippines and exhibitions are promoted by citizens of the Philippines or by corporation or association of at least 60% of the capital which is owned by such citizen. So yun yung mga requirements para ma-exempt or para hindi ma-subject ng 10% amusement tax yung boxing exhibition. So yung contender is a Filipino, tapos yung promoter ng boxing event is Filipino citizen, and that kung hindi man Filipino citizen, yung corporation or association is owned by at least 60% Filipino citizen. Illustration number 4. So let's apply yung concept ng amusement tax sa problem. The PNBA is a professional basketball organization. In a basketball series within a month, it had a gross receipts from the gates of 1 million. In addition, television coverage give additional gross receipts, 1 million. Advertisement in streamer inside the Coliseum where the games were conducted gave gave an additional 1 million. The amusement tax was. So this is a professional basketball organization. So therefore, it is subject to amusement tax. Hindi kasi siya league. So kung league siya, hindi siya professional organization and exempt sana siya sa amusement tax. However, professional basketball organization, ito, so subject siya. Ano ang rate? It is 15%. So, sabi ko nga kanina, multiply mo lang yung rate sa tax base. So, ano ang tax base mo? So, meron siyang gross receipts daw, 1 million. Meron pa ding television coverage, 1 million. Meron pang gate income from advertisement na 1 million. So, ang total ay 3 million. So, 3 million times 15%, or it is equivalent to 450,000. So, ulitin natin. Ang answer is 450,000. So, 3 million yung total ng lahat times 15%. Sports Unlimited, a domestic corporation wholly owned by a citizen of the Philippines, sponsored a world boxing event for World Championship in the lightweight division between Korean and Filipino boxers. Gate receipts amounted to 10 million. Satellite coverage gave the corporation an additional gross receipt of 1.2 million. So the total receipts of Sports Unlimited is 11.2 million. The requirement is to determine the amusement tax. So although in general a boxing exhibition is subject to amusement tax, however this one is exempt kasi na-meet niya yung requirement or exemption, and that is yung contender is a Filipino and it is promoted by a citizen of the Philippines. So, this is an exempt boxing event. So, the answer is, the amusement tax is 0. Illustration number 6. Total Entertainment, a domestic corporation, had the following gross receipts from championship event. It is conducted in the Philippines. Ping pong, 500,000. Billiard, 1 million. Tennis, 1.2 million. Volleyball, 600,000. Baseball, 800,000. Basketball, 900,000. Is amateur, so hindi siya professional. Basketball games. And chess, 400,000. So the requirement is to determine the amusement taxes. So the answer is 0, because it is not a boxing exhibition. It is also not a professional basketball games, and hindi rin siya cockpits, cabaret, day or nightclub, and hindi rin siya hayalay or race track. Kaya it is not subject to amusement tax. Kaya walang amusement tax. So, let's go to winnings. So, as mentioned dun sa opening slide natin kanina, yung summary ng percentage tax and other percentage taxes. Meron tayong percentage tax on winning. Sulitin natin, winnings in the horse races or high alay is 10%. Pero if the winning is from double, forecast, kinila, trifecta bets, it is only 4%. Pero yung owner of the winning horse is 10%. Para sa mga terminologies ng mga bets, different types of bets, ayan, provide ko na sa copy na lang. Daily double, extra double, forecast, double pinila, and trifecta bet. Take note na lang. So, who is the taxpayer of the tax on winning? The taxpayer is the person who wins in horse races and in high alay, and based on his winnings or dividends. Letter B, the owner of winning horse. Based on the price naman ang kanyang tax base. How is tax paid? The tax will be withheld from the dividends or the price by the operator or manager or person in charge of the horse race or high alay. So, i-deduct na agad. So, yung ibibigay dun sa taxpayer, sa subject ng tax, net of tax on winnings. Illustration number 7. Mr. L is an owner of a racehorse who on June 12 from a special Independence Day race won a prize in the amount of 5 million. The tax on winning is magkano yung amusement tax na iwi-withheld na ng manager or in charge dun sa high alay or race horse. Horse race pala. So, ano ba yung applicable rate? 10% ba? 4%? Or 10? So, sino ba ang tinatax dito? Yung owner ng race horse. Kaya, 10%. Di ba tatlo yon? 10 for 10. Pero anong 10 ang mag-a-apply? Kasi yung 4 para sa mga bets, yun, yung mga nakikipusta lang. So, ito, ang tinatax kasi dito, yung owner ng winning horse. Kaya it is 10%. So, 10% of 5 million is 500,000. So, ang amusement tax on winnings is 500,000. So, let's move to stock transaction tax. Letter A, on a sale or barter or exchange or other disposition of shares listed and traded through a local stock exchange other than by a dealer in security. So, ang tax base natin dito sa case na to, sa type ng stock transaction tax na ito is on gross selling price or gross value of money of the shares sold between the barter, exchange, or otherwise disposed of. Ang tax rate natin is 16th of 1%. So, 6/10 of 1%. So, ganun talaga. Medyo nagduda lang kasi ako kasi nga dati 1/2 of 1%. Akala ko typographical error lang to kasi pag 5/10 is 1/2. Akala ko dati pa rin. So, 6/10 of 1%. Yun ang tax rate. So, sino ang taxpayer? Yung seller. Case B. On the sale, barter, exchange, or other disposition through initial public offering naman of shares of stock in a closely held corporations. Ang tax base is gross selling price. But wait, bago tayo pumunta sa tax rate ng letter B, i-distinguish lang natin anong pagkakaiba ng A at saka B. Itong letter B kasi, initial public offering, yung pagbenta ng shares for the first time. So, dati silang closely held corporation. Sila-sila lang ang may-ari ng shares nila. So, nakalimit lang yung ownership sa mga family members o sa circle nila. So, hindi available sa public. So, hindi pa available sa stock exchange yung kanilang shares. Ngayon, pag nag-IPO sila, i-offer na nila sa public yung shares nila. So accessible na yung ownership sa public. So, yan yung tinatawag nating initial public offerings. Offering of shares to the public for ownership for the first time. So, yung letter A naman, yan yung usual na. After ng public offering, yan na yung usual stock trading. Nagkakaroon na ng exchange of ownership talaga. Nagtitrade na ng stocks. So, ito yung mga rates kapag initial public offering. Kapag ibinibenta ang percentage ng ibibentang ownership ng stocks ng corporation ay up to 25%, so 0 up to 25%, 4% ang tax rate. So magkano ba ang inoffer nilang share sa public? Ilang percent ba 'yon ng kanilang total share? So kapag hindi naman nag-exceed ng 25%, for example, 24%, 20%, 15% lang ng shares naman pala nila ang i-offer nila sa public, so 4% lang ang 4% ang tax rate. Kapag sumobra na sila ng 25% pero hindi nag-exceed ng 33 and 1/3%, 2%. And kapag nag-exceed na ng 33 and 1/3%, 1% na lang ang tax rate. Pababa, 4, 2, and 1. The taxpayer is the issuing corporation. So what is a closely held corporation? Means any corporation at least 50% in value of outstanding capital stock or at least 50% of the total combined voting power of all classes of stock entitled to vote is owned directly or indirectly but by or for not more than 20 individuals. So yun ang definition ng ating closely held corporation. Illustration number 8. Mr. M sold shares of stock of domestic corporation listed and traded in the Philippine Stock Exchange through his stockbroker as follows. So bago tayo mag-continue, gusto ko lang i-emphasize na naka-register na yung shares sa Philippine Stock Exchange. So, ibig sabihin, this is no longer an IPO. So, hindi na mag-apply yung 4, 2, and 1%. So, let's continue. Letter A, shares of N company with a cost of 2 million and a selling price of 2.8. Letter B, shares of O Corporation with a cost of 2.5. Ang selling price niya is 2 million. So, na-notice nyo? Itong second ay, it will be sold at a loss kasi ang cost niya is 2.5 pero ibibenta siya ng 2 million. Yung letter A, okay lang. Kasi 2 million ang cost is ibibenta siya ng 2.8 million. So, mayroong markup na 800,000. How much is the aggregate or the separate stock transaction payment? So, since sabi nga natin, hindi na mag-a-apply yung 4, 2, and 1. So, ang gagamitin nating rate is yung 6/10 of 1% or yung 6/10 of 1%. Yung rate ng regular sales of stock registered sa Philippine Stock Exchange. So, ang computation ay ganito. So, ang tax base niya is, gross selling price. So, unfortunately, kahit lugi yung sa letter B, still mayroon pa rin siyang tax na babayaran kasi hindi naman i-consider yung gain or loss kasi hindi naman naka-base sa gain or loss yung kanyang tax. Hindi naman sa gain or loss ang tax base, rather. Ang tax base is dun sa gross selling price. So, yun ang minsan ang masama pag gross selling price ang tax base, ibig sabihin, hindi kino-consider kung may gain or loss na may realize dun sa transaction. Unlike pag sa net, i-base, diba? So, ibig sabihin, kapag dun sa net gain, i-base yung ang tax base, ibig sabihin, pag loss, wala ka nang, at hindi gain, wala ka nang tax na babayaran. Pero ganun talaga. Ang tax base niya is gross selling price. So, we have to get yung 2 million at i-multiply natin ng 6/10 of 1%. Ganun din naman yung sa letter A, 2.8 million times 6/10 of 1%. So, 14,000 plus 10,000 is 24,000. So, yun yung stock transaction tax. Anyway, ang amusement tax naman na ito ay yung stock transaction tax. Ibig sabihin, basta may stock transaction ka, magbabayad ka ng tax regardless kung may kita ka man doon sa dealings or wala. Ulitin ko, ang tinatax is yung activity, yung pagbenta mo ng shares, yung privilege mo na mag-transfer ng shares to another. Hindi ka tinatax dahil kumita ka or hindi. The company was a closely held corporation. In opening itself to the public, it made an initial public offering of its shares of stock on a selling price of 5 million. Wait lang. Initial public offering, so ibig sabihin, ang tax rate niyan ay 4, 2, and 1. Depende kung, pakitignan yung notes, depende kung ilang percent yung i-issue nilang shares. For shares of stock which would give them the buying public an interest after the listing of 30% in the corporation. So 30% daw. Saan yun? How much was the stock transaction tax? So alamin mo muna kung 4, 2, and 1 ba yung rate na mag-apply. So, pag hindi nag-exceed ng 25%, so 25% pababa, 4%. Nag-exceed ng 25%, pero hindi nag-exceed ng 33 and 1/3, 2%. Nag-exceed ng 33 and 1/3, 1% na. So, ang sagot is, nasa gitna, 2%. So, 2% of 5 million is 0.002 of 5 million is 100,000. Ayan. So, ang sagot is 5 million times 2%, 100,000. Return and payment of percentage tax. The taxpayer may file a separate return for each branch or place of business. or a consolidated return for all. So, ang general rule sa percentage tax, every person liable to pay percentage tax will file a monthly return of the amount of his gross receipts and pay the tax thereon within 20 days after the end of each taxable month. So, madali lang. Pagkatapos ng for example, January, magbibilang ka lang ng 20 days para bayaran yung mga percentage tax mo ng January. So, that's February 20. Ganun lang. So, sa February, 20 days ulit. Para i-file mo naman yung percentage tax mo sa February. So, that's March 20 din. So, pag ganun lang. 20 days after the close of each month, babayaran ang percentage tax. So, however, mayroon tayong exemption. Except yung mga diniscuss natin in this chapter. So, ito yung mga yon. Overseas communication tax within 20 days after the end of the quarter. Yun. So, by quarter naman yung overseas communication tax. So, for example, sa first quarter, ang composition ng first quarter ay January, February, March. So, yun yung first quarter mo. So, mag-end yung first quarter mo ng March. So, April 20 ang filing nun. So, every 3 months ito, quarterly. So, sa second quarter naman, April, May, June. So, July 20. So, 20 days after ng each quarter. Sa winnings naman, remitted to the Bureau of Internal Revenue within 20 days from the date of withheld. So, kung kailan ka nanalo ka ng July 10, for example. O, magbibilang ka ng 20 days pero hindi mo na problemahin yun kung ikaw yung nanalo kasi kinuha na ni manager or ng in charge doon sa racetrack or doon sa high alay. I-remit na niya sa BIR. Stock transaction tax, yung 6/10 of 1%, it will be remitted sa internal revenue within 5 banking days from the date of withheld by the broker. So, ganun din, pag nagbenta ka ng stock, tatanggalin na ng broker yon, i-remit niya within 5 days. Ang bilis, no? 5 araw lang. So, for example, July 10 ka nagbenta, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yun. Remit na dapat. Yun, na-remit na dapat. So, of course, pag na-late yan, mayroong penalty. Pag hindi na-comply yung mga ito, may penalty na i-impose ang BIR. Stock transaction tax naman, yung 4, 2, and 1% on primary offering within 30 days from the date of listing sa local stock exchange. No? So, wala pang actually bumibili, nag-uumpisa na yung counting ng dapat pag-remit mo ng tax. So, within 30 days. So, dapat ma-execute ka agad yung pagbenta ng offer, no? So, kung nadidelay, baka makulangan ka sa oras sa paniningil pa, no? Sa collection pa ng mga bibili ng shares. Kasi, hindi naman sa date of sale kung kailan mabibenta. It is yung date ng listing sa local stock exchange. So, pinalista mo na siya. So, kung kailan yon, doon mag-umpisa yung 30 days. Kaya, immediately dapat yung pagbenta ng share. So, of course, we will not end yung ating session without application. So, may several problems dito that you need to answer. And yung answer na yun will be uploaded to the designated link. So, nakikisuyo lang ako sa inyo na dapat dun lang sa link mag-upload ng answer para hindi ma-overlook or para mas madali akong mag-check. Kasi andun lahat. Pag tinignan ko, isang site lang titignan ko, andun na lahat yung mga inyong classwork. Kasi pag isa-isahin natin, baka may ma-overlook talaga ako. So kung isa-isa, i-allow ko na kayo ay mag-submit isa-isa. So ang daming site akong titignan. So it is very convenient for me and for you na din na doon dapat sa isang site, doon lang sa designated link. Kasi pag katulad sinabi ko, pag isa-isa, hindi talaga may iwasan, mayroon akong mga mamimiss kasi may mga matatabunan, hindi lang naman kayo ang nag-communicate sa akin. Sa maraming estudyante, may high school, mayroon kayo college. So I hope you understand. So kung hindi kayo marunong mag-upload dun sa link, mayroon naman yung nagpapanood sa YouTube, may shinare na ako, or kung may kakilala kayo o classmate kayo, di magpaturo kayong mag-upload kung hindi pa enough yung in-upload kong discussion para sa pag-upload ng video. No? Magpaturo na rin lang sa classmate. Kayang-kaya nyo yan. Kaya nyo mag-Facebook, mag-TikTok, etc. etc. So kung gusto, may paraan. Kung ayaw, maraming dahilan. Pero ang akin lang, ang rule ko is dapat doon sa designated link lang talaga. Mahihirapan talaga ako kung saan-saan ko pa hahanapin at hindi ko naman hahanapin yun. Kasi nga dapat matutunan nyo na rin as a responsible student. Diba? Sa work, magagamit nyo din kasi ito. So, dapat matulungan nyo na. Kasi, especially now, na technology-based na yung lahat ng work. So, dapat, yung itong pag-upload ng ng work sa Google Drive, hindi na to masyadong complicated. Madali lang to. So, you just have to open a Google account and then mag-enroll sa ating Google Classroom and then i-click mo lang naman yung link na yon pag meron ka ng Google account at saka enroll ka na sa ating Google Classroom para makita mo yung mga post dun sa Google Classroom, yung mga link. And then, i-click mo lang yan and then click mo yung plus sign pag sa cellphone or upload sa maski sa computer, no? Plus sign, then select the document. Ganun lang naman, madali lang naman. Natututunan yan. So, thank you very much. Please take note of the following problem that will serve as your quiz alarm. Okay, so this is the end of the slide. Thank you very much. This is Romualdo Fredo saying, God bless.